Robert Plank Show, episode 78. Plug and play passive income business models to build up that nest egg. I want to personally welcome you back to the Robert Plank Show. This is the internet marketing radio podcast where we talk about membership sites, webinars, passive income, and more. And I want to share with you today 8 business models that make me money basically every single day. But what I will say is that focus is a super important issue, and out of the 8 models that I'm about to share with you today, in any given, say, 3-month chunk of time, I'm only dedicating my time to 2 or 3 of these. But I want to give you some ideas if you're looking for something new or if nothing is working. Now, catchphrase of the week is to see a movie or go to the park. I just came back from the park today, and that's a huge step for me because I broke my ankle a few months before recording this podcast. I was bedridden for a while, then I was on crutches, and I'm pretty slow to get around, but at least I can walk around now without crutches. I need to get a cane. I've tried a few canes, but they're all pretty short. I can get around faster on a cane, but just the ability to walk, well, to walk what used to be a 5-minute walk is now probably a 20-minute walk each way, but just to be able to get out of the house and get some perspective and leave your phone at home and don't listen to music or any of that, just get outside and just get in motion. Studies have shown, I think there's some study from Stanford University where people that took even a short walk every morning or a few short walks throughout the day had a better mindset and burned out less, were able to think in bigger terms and things like that. So just having that forward motion helps you. And it's all about changing your state. So psychologists or NLP type of people will tell you that what you're actually accomplishing by getting outside, going to the park, seeing a movie is to change your state and more or less fast forward your brain to tomorrow. So haven't you ever been in a situation where just nothing was working out? You don't even know why you're sitting at the computer. You don't even know like what the heck you're supposed to do next. You're like, screw this. I'm gonna leave the office. I'm gonna get back to my computer and do this internet stuff tomorrow with fresh eyes. Well, by just getting outside and taking a break, you are accomplishing that looking at it with fresh eyes kind of activity. I do this all the time when or I used to, but I'm getting back into it now that I can kind of walk. I used to write a web page or write a sales letter, and I would basically have it done, get in the car, drive around for a couple of hours, come back, and have a bunch of ideas to really make it pop. Computer programming, same deal. I would be stuck trying to fix a bug in a WordPress plugin or trying to make a web page look just right. Couldn't make any headway. Go out and drive, go out for a walk for even a few minutes, come back, and I would fix something that I had not made any progress on for the previous 8 to 10 hours, but then I go and take a 10-minute walk, boom, now I get it fixed. So that's the catchphrase is see a movie or go to the park. Now the quote of this week is that the number one reason why people give up so fast is because they tend to look at how far they still have to go instead of how far they have gotten. The number one reason why people give up so fast is because they tend to look at how far they still have to go instead of how far they have gotten. Let's not even unpack that. I just want to put that in your brain and you can make your own conclusions there. The marketer of the week is Mr. Gary Ambrose. I don't even know what his current site is. The last time I talked to him was at a live event, and he was doing some of his own special stuff, but there's no actual website to buy a course. He's just playing around with some traffic. But this guy, he's the owner of emailaces.com and a creator of some plugins called Opt-in Lightning, and I made a plugin with him called Lightning Track. And he's a smart guy, and he's one of those guys where he gets the techie side, but is more of a marketer and can kind of see things through the lens of even the lowest common denominator, BizOp, MLM, wannabe. And that sounds bad, but it means that he can make some push button software, but he's not just going to make something for the heck of it. He's going to make something that everyone is going to want to buy. And this guy was my mentor, and we worked together on a few projects 15 years ago. And one phrase I want to pass along that he said to me offhandedly was to show someone how to make $1 million in 5 minutes. Okay, so when I was making some scripts and plugins on my own early on, I was 17, 18 years old, and I would make some software plugins or some books that weren't too exciting. They would go and they'd add like a quiz on your site or something like that. And he said, well, that'll sell okay, but it's not going to go flying off the shelves because you're not showing someone how to make $1 million in 5 minutes. You need to have something that goes completely over the top crazy. And so, for example, he had a plugin, I think it was called MemberSpring. I couldn't find it when I looked up his stuff, but he had a membership hosting service. It wasn't a plugin, but it was his service would host you. And what was unique and cool and newsworthy about it was that his membership hosting platform included pre-made membership content. I think there were 5 or 10 businesses in a box. Like, for example, you would buy his membership hosting platform and you could click a button and then boom, have a weight loss sales letter and a button to buy and a product and drip content in there and all kinds of cool stuff. So you click a button and there's pre-made membership content, sales letters, emails. You just click and it's in. Pretty cool. So what can you apply in your own maybe existing course or software that's the equivalent of somebody making $1 million in 5 minutes, or people could look at it and see how they can make $1 million in 5 minutes? And I mean, if you're rolling your eyes, then how about this? What if someone could look at it and see how they can make 100 or 1,000 or $10,000 just by using your $100 piece of software? Okay, so some kind of, I don't know, like built-in affiliate program or built-in income stream. Think about that. What can you add in where someone can click and have a built-in income stream? So in today's podcast, we're going to keep this as short and sweet as possible, but we have 8 models to get through. But the reason why this came about is I'm thinking about literally 5 years ago. I was speaking in Thailand with my business partner Lance Tamashiro, and we were talking about membership sites, and we had some income claim, and I think it was like $550,000 we had made from membership sites that year, or something like that. And the, so after we spoke, this one guy came to me and he was basically trying to critique my stage presentation. By the way, don't do that. I mean, even if you go to some event and you don't like what the person had to say on stage, don't critique them. Don't tell them, well, you should have done this and this and this better. And he told me, he gave me a list of things that he didn't like, even though he bought. So that was something. But then he told me that he was like, well, have you ever heard the saying that after you made the sale, stop talking? And I was thinking to myself, well, yes, I have heard that saying, but we're not one-on-one selling. I'm on stage presenting something. And then, I kind of was trying to get to the real truth. And the real truth was that his hesitation, even though he did buy, but his hesitation in buying from us was that we had started off his presentation saying, we're going to show you how you made 554,000 something dollars last year with membership sites. And he wanted to see a pie chart. He wanted to see a breakdown of, well, where did that $554,000 come from? And he assumed that we had some, interest earning money and some money in stocks and this and that. But at the time, it was literally that year it was 100% membership sites. We'd pitch webinars, put them in, and we'd sell a membership site. We'd have guest webinars, and we'd sell more stuff in membership sites. We sold products; they were in membership sites. It was 100% membership sites. And I guess in hindsight, I could have done the little pie chart and showed like what was low ticket or what was high ticket or what was recurring or something like that. But it got me thinking, and that's why today I'm not going to give you a pie chart, but I'm going to give you different ways of making money that have worked for me, still work for me to varying degrees. So some are like my biggest profit producers, other things once were, and now they're on the wayside, but these are all things that make me money. And I'm not going to, go and make an income claim here, or I'm not going to claim about anything about your results. I'm just giving you this information about 8 ways of making money. All right, so I'm going to give you the first one right here. And the first one is a silly way of making money, but it's your best bet if you're currently at zero. And this is providing Fiverr services. You can join our course at profitdashboard.com. That's profitdashboard.com, which shows you how to navigate this marketplace called Fiverr, Fiverr.com. So this is a site where you can hire someone to do things like transcribe audios, send traffic to your YouTube channel, dance in a hot dog costume on video, program stuff, make you a jingle. I've actually used Fiverr to make a few songs about membership sites and about webinars and things like that as kind of silly little things to add into our selling material. So what does that mean for you? It means that if you know any kind of graphics skills, if you know how to make a logo or make a book cover, then you can use Fiverr and make money selling graphics. And we have a course specifically about graphics at graphicdashboard.com. So that's a possibility for you. But even if you don't have any skills per se, well, let's think about this. Do you know how to put together a resume or a cover letter? Do you know how to proofread someone else's writing? Do you know how to write a press release? I don't, but maybe you do. Do you know how to make articles and blog posts? Well, those are all services people provide on Fiverr. And you might be thinking, well, shoot, I don't have time to write a bunch of articles. Well, yeah, but would you write an article for $5 for every 50 words? So if someone hired you to make a 500-word article, then that would be $50. Well, now it's starting to look a little more rosy. Would you get on camera and read someone's script? And I'm not necessarily saying someone's fake testimonial, which is a thing on Fiverr, but what if someone just had a message that they wanted you to say on just a cheap webcam? What if somebody hired you to speak out the audio for their commercial or for their whiteboard video? This is what Lance and I did, just playing around on Fiverr, getting some extra spending money to see if it was possible. And for this, we offered voiceovers for $5. Got somebody a 200-word voiceover delivered in 48 hours. So usually the scripts that come in are about 10 or 15 bucks each. If they go for the rush order, now it's 25, 35 bucks. And then this is a situation where we can scale it and then begin offering voiceovers for one gig of $5 gets you a 50-word voiceover. Or we could do things like charge an extra 10 bucks if you need to have the audio in multiple formats, or charge 20 bucks if you need the audio synced to a video. So even if you only had 10 orders per day, but they were all $20 or $30 orders, and you were able to just knock them out each in 2 minutes, well, now this silly $5 Fiverr income, now it's kind of seeming like it's doable because, well, would you spend 2 minutes earning $5 if you could just do that 20 times in a row? Well, now and if you just hit the button, spoke out whatever was said, and then you were done. Well, now there is something to that. And in Profit Dashboard and in Fiverr, there's all kinds of cool little nooks and crannies where you can make money. So there are Fiverr gigs for people who will make a t-shirt or hand out flyers. Or if you know how to do green screen video, there's big bucks in that. Or there's if you know any kind of like search engine software or whiteboard creation software, a lot of the gigs, that's what they're called on Fiverr, gigs. A lot of the gigs are just for 5 or 10 bucks, but all you have to do is open up a piece of $200 software and click a button. That's our first business model for passive income, Fiverr services. Find out more about that at profitdashboard.com. Passive income model number 2 are tiny little $7 reports. I made my first money, and a lot of successful internet marketers made their first money from selling short digital reports. I'm talking about a 10 to 20 page guide on how to do something that might be simple for you but hard for others. So I made some PDF documents about how to program PHP plugins and put them on web pages to create pop-ups, countdown clocks, stuff like that. My first product is still at simplephp.com. And another example of this is a product called fastfoodcopywriting.com. Silly name, and I'm looking for the product so I can count how many pages. But this is a $27 product that I literally created, geez, a decade ago, almost a decade ago. And it teaches people how to add persuasive language to sales copy. It's $27 and it still sells to this day. Now, it doesn't sell every single day because I don't promote it a ton. And I've got the Word document open. Okay, 30 pages. 30 pages, and it includes things like plug and play headlines, chapters about storytelling, and I basically compressed each of the 24 chapters each onto one page, but then there's a table of contents, there's a couple of appendices. But the point is that it shows people how to earn money from their words, from their phrasing. So it's very like high value kind of content. It's not necessarily about the number of pages we can fill up, but how much we can cram into a short space. When I used to playing around with the stock market, I would always buy these little $50 reports that were 1 or 2 pages long, but they contained the exact information I needed. Now, nowadays, well, I mean, so fast food copywriting still sells for $27, and the going rate for these types of short reports used to be 15 or 30 bucks, and some of them would be 5 or 10 pages. So, my business partner, Mr. Lance Tomashiro, put out a report. I can't remember what it's called, but it was called like Facebook fan pages for business. And it was literally, well, calling it 15 pages was generous because it was mostly screenshots. It was showing how to make a fan page, how to run some ads. That was pretty much all you can fit into 15 pages that are mostly giant screenshots. And we sold that for $7, and I think we sold it was at least 1,000 copies, but I think it was in the thousands of copies. So if it's hot information and you've condensed it down, who cares how long or short it is? And if it's only $7, then it's an impulse buy. And you can always go out and buy resale rights to a piece of software or video to add on, and then you can increase the price. So tiny little $7 reports, and so the great thing about this is you find a simple problem, and maybe others have solved it, but maybe you can solve it better or faster or something. You find a problem that people have. So good examples of problems people have could be, well, how do I set up a WordPress site? How do I use Photoshop? How do I use YouTube ads? You can even get as specific as that. But you figure out one problem and you devise one solution. And the one solution and usually it's best if the one solution involves let's say 7 to 10 steps and 2 to 3 tools combined together. So that way you're not just saying, well, here you go, here's Photoshop, or here you go, here's Fiverr. You can combine different tools to make your solution, to make your own unique step-by-step process, if that makes sense. So what I want you to do is go to incomemachine.com. That's INCOMEMACHINE.com. And this shows you how to create your whole online funnel, how to make your opt-in page, autoresponder sequence, sales page, membership site, download page, traffic, blog, all those little pieces that will get the amount of traffic you need to at least make a handful of $7 sales every day, or at least on a regular basis. Incomemachine.com. The third passive income business model is the low ticket webinar. All right, so a webinar is a live online event, like a streaming online seminar, where you can host of just a free live training. And I mean, technically you can charge for it because, well, if you sold a product and there's a protected download page or members area, and the only way to click the link to register for that live training session is behind that protected members area, then congratulations, you have charged for a webinar. But just to make it simple and talk about the way that they're mostly done, is you provide a free live training and you choose a title for this live training. Figure out a hook, figure out benefits, reasons why people would want to register and attend. You schedule a time and date that you'll be presenting this live training, and then people register for this live webinar training. These are called your registrants. And you set it up and you promote the heck out of your webinar as the date draws closer. So usually, I mean, let's just say that you would schedule your first webinar about a week ahead of time. And every day you'd do a few things to get more people to register. So you'd email your list about it every day. If you have an affiliate program, you'd contact your affiliates and say, here's this webinar registration link, and if you can hook it up to your affiliate program so that they will mail, that's even better. Run some Facebook ads, post on Facebook, post on Twitter, contact individual people, do whatever you can to get a bunch of people registered for this upcoming webinar. Then, when the time and date rolls around, you click the button and you start it up. And what happens when you start up a webinar is that everyone who, first of all, everyone who registered gets a last minute reminder saying, come here, click this link. And you would email your list at the last second and say, click the link and join. So the same link they used to register, now they attend live. Attending live means that they see your desktop screen and they hear your voice. So that means you can show a computer program, a web page, a PowerPoint presentation, and you talk and teach some stuff, then transition into pitching something at the end. And I like to do webinars in about 1 hour, in and out, none of this 3 hour stuff, none of this doing a telethon and talking for 5 hours. You compress what needs to be said or delete the things that aren't important, and in an hour do about 45 minutes of teaching and then 15 minutes of pitching, it's called, at the end. And you can do this for any price point. And I mean, typically what people are, man, I hate that word, by the way, typically, but what you always see around is people will pitch stuff for 5 grand or 2 grand or 1 grand, because a webinar is more of like a classy type of place to be, right? If someone actually went out of their way to set aside an hour of time and actually show up on time and show up at the right time and stay the whole hour and pay attention, that's a hot lead. That's a hot prospect for you. So you might as well pitch something high ticket. And when I first pitched a few high ticket things, I'm talking about, $9.97, $4.97. It was before a lot of people, a lot of my peers had figured out the high ticket thing, and it was really funny because they were freaking out and they would only sell things for $50 or $100, and I was thinking like, man, I sell one copy of this at $1,000 or at $9.97, and you would have had to sell 20 of your $50 product, or you would have had to sell 50 of your $20 product just to match the one sale that I made. So the thing about webinars too is that you have to hit them kind of hard, and you have to give people a good reason to actually buy. Or do you? Well, the reason why I asked or do you is because we said that this business model is called the low ticket webinar. And what we've done is for our high ticket products, we've put a payment plan in place. And that means for our $997 membership cube course, someone can buy it outright, and a lot of people do. But then people can also pay $47 every 2 weeks for, I think, 22 or maybe 24 payments. And it's a situation where they join on that payment plan, they get all the software up front, they get all the training up front, but if they stop those payments, then the software turns off and they lose access to the training they bought. And you can get kind of crazy and weird with this. So we sold a $97 Facebook course once called setupafanpage.com, and we sold it at $97, but we made a ton of extra sales by offering a payment plan of $19.95 for 5 payments and a payment was every 31 days. Kind of cool. We sold a course about publishing on Amazon called Make a Product at $197, and it sold great. And then just for fun, I was like, well, what would happen if we offered a 5-part payment plan at $39.95 I think it was every 21 days for 5 payments. So you can have fun, and the worst that can happen is that it doesn't sell, or even if it's refund city for you, you can take that off. But it's fun to change things up and fake people out, even to the point where I would run some of these webinars and just load it up with all kinds of cool stuff and share a bunch of revelations and takeaways and ahas and demos and things like that, and then say, well, here's the offer I'm going to tell you, and make people think it was $997, and then say, well, guess what, it's not, and drop it down and say, well, it's only $497, and kind of wait there for a little while, and then say some more things and say, you know what, it's only $197, and then even wait for people to leave and be like, oh my gosh, like what's this guy thinking? And then drop it down to $97 and be like, for $97, you get all the stuff we talked about today, not even a joke. And people would go to the web page to buy at $97, but then get confused. Well, why? Because the button on the web page was not 97 and they were thinking, well, what am I even buying here? So I dropped the price down to $47 and say, it's $47 and it still has all these things we talked about. But for you today, it's not even 37. It's not even 27. It's not even $17. It's just $7. So even just the way I laid that out here, I mean, obviously you'd have to see like what the offer was and what was in the package and what kind of if it was something you're interested in and all that kind of stuff. But I would basically do the fake out and the price drop, and I would be slow with the price drop. And I've seen people try to rip off exactly some of my webinar pitches and do a terrible job because they only copy the outermost layer, and that's the only way I can really explain that. So basically, when anyone's speaking or anyone's doing something, there's a lot of things going on at once. There's things they're thinking, there's things they're setting up, there's things that they revised when they were planning it, and you only see the finished product. But the point of this thing called a webinar, where you make people think you're selling $1,000 package and you drop it down to $7, is all about the price drop and the fake out. So you can, and so the thing is, you start off with a really high price and drop it down, but the reason why you got to that high price was because you broke down the pieces of whatever your offer was and said, this piece is worth $545. This piece is worth $820. And you looked at all the individual pieces in this thing you want them to buy, and you put a dollar value on it. Then you totaled it to have this huge number, and then you dropped the price down. And I've seen people say, well, this is worth $3 million. Well, no, it's not. But if you actually totaled up these pieces, okay, that's worth $10,000. But then we drop the price slowly, and we would take about 10 or 15 minutes to actually drop the price down to the what we were actually selling it at. And sometimes I do price drops when I sell things where we stop at 197 or at the payment plan. But in this case, what I'm talking about here is where we drop all the way down to $7. So we have the value stack to build it up to a huge price. We drop the price down and we fake them out and we pause so that it really seems worth. I mean, it's ridiculous to sell something at $7. But the point of this low ticket webinar isn't just to give away everything you have for sale, and it's definitely not to discount, and I don't drop my prices. I never sell something for 197 and then drop it for down to 7. But I do have plugins, like we have a WP import plugin, which allows you to in one click import hundreds or thousands of articles or posts into your WordPress sites. That's a huge, awesome plugin. And it's ridiculous to sell it at $7. Now, why would I do that? To get people buying, because I have a ton of stuff that sells for way more than $7. And I mean, if someone's never heard of me, then they don't know what they're even getting into. And maybe they haven't bought a product online before, or at least from an internet marketer. Or maybe they've bought from me, but they haven't bought in years. And there's something cool and magical about getting people moving, getting people buying. So to find out about some of these strategies for low ticket webinars and high ticket webinars, go to webinarcrusher.com. That's WEBINARCRU. Let me try again. WEBINARCRUSHER.com. That's webinarcrusher.com. I wanted to make sure I got that right for you. Passive income strain number 4 is also explained in Webinar Crusher. This is the Platinum Coaching Program. This is where we charge somebody a monthly fee to have access to all of our products, but we also meet with them once a month. And so for the longest time, I was trying to figure out, well, is there some kind of a package or a program we can put together where someone pays us month after month forever and gets access to all of our stuff? And I really thought about this, and I've seen people do it in the way where they put out like a $500 or $497 product every single month. But then you say, well, you can buy it outright or join my $97 a month continuity program, and you get this product that's $500 plus all my previous 2 years worth of $500 products. So in theory it sounds good, except for, well, then you have to make something new every single month, which we make some new stuff, but not every single month. So the answer was this Platinum program. And this is what we sell when we run live events, because usually when someone comes to a live event of ours, they've bought most of our stuff, and we don't really know there's not like one thing we can pitch where the whole room will buy it unless it's something new that we just created. So if someone has gone to the trouble of buying a ticket to one of our events and set aside time for the 2 or 3 days plus 2 more days for travel, right? The one day to travel there, the one day to travel back, and even a day just to recover afterwards. They booked a hotel room, they booked a plane ticket, they were in the room for 2 or 3 days listening to us. Man, that's a hot lead. So the package that we sell is called Double Agent Marketing Platinum Program, and we started selling it for 8,000, and then we increased it to 1,400, and then at the time we're recording, I think it's 2,400, and we're going to increase it even more. But for 2,400 bucks a month, someone basically basically nothing happens. First of all, they pay 2,400 bucks a month. There's nothing to even instantly get access to. What we do is then we call them on the phone or email them, and we figure out what time or day of the week and what time of that day every single week is our standing appointment. Okay? So we could say, all right, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, great. That's when we meet. And then once we nail that down, then we say, let's go into our GoToWebinar account, the place to host our webinars, and we set up that recurring meeting. Then we go to our Google Calendar area and we set up that recurring meeting. So literally all we have to do is just when the alarm goes off, the phone goes off, then we go and show up to that meeting. And so does the person that is paying us money. We meet and we toss them the screen, and they just tell us what needs to happen, what strategy you're working on that day. They might show us a website and say, can we fix up this website? Can we make this convert more? Can you help me finish this? Can you tell me what the next step is in my business? And as part of all this, if the answer is okay, well, I need a membership site, then we will go in during the meeting and create a membership cube account for them. So literally anything we have, they can have access to it. They just have to ask. They just need to use it. And the best thing about this is that we pitch it at our live events, and we hand out an application so people actually fill out the reasons why they should be in this program, because we don't take everyone. We turn down a lot of people, but they convince us to join our platinum coaching program. Pretty cool, right? Easy money, and it's fun, and you're dealing with your best people, not just scrounging around for $7 sales. Because $7 sales are great. I just mentioned them. They're great for getting people buying. They're great for building a list. They're great for having an extra chunk of income. They're great for people to see what you're all about. But if they really are going to have personal, private access to you, then you can charge whatever the heck you want for that. Moving right along, passive income business model number 5, yearly software. We sell plugins like Backup Creator, like Paper Template, and those are our two big ones, but we have Member Genius as well. So we have software, WordPress software, WordPress plugins. And the way that the majority of WordPress themes and plugin developers make their money is that you can buy access to, this theme or plugin and install it, and it'll work, but you only get 1 year of support and update. So that means if you wait 1 year plus 1 day, you can't update the plugin, but it will still work. And if something goes wrong with your site and you need help, then you can't get any help from that. But you can always go in and renew your support for 1 more year, and that means now you can get assistance with your site, and now you can get the latest and greatest version. That's like the way that the majority of WordPress plugin and theme sellers make their money. So what we do is we sell the software, and we have a few things in place that I'm not going to tell you how we make it because that would take forever, but just basically the things that we put in place. Somebody buys access to Backup Creator. They log in, and we have a very clear looking table of what exactly they are allowed to do. Backup Creator, they can use the plugin on any sites that they own. They can see how many days they have left for customer support. And then if you want to see what this looks like, just buy a copy of backupcreator.com. The small version only costs $7. Why? Because I want you to see how helpful it is to pay a measly $7 and have the ability to back up and clone and duplicate your websites. So there's this license table, and so someone logs in and they see exactly what it is they have, what they can do, and then how many days are remaining in their backup creator license. Then we have the ability for the plugin to update itself right there within the WordPress dashboard. But that updating stops working when their paid updates run out. Then we have another. So anyway, so the point of this is that every and I would say that about, probably shouldn't share this, but about 25% of our customers renew the yearly support. So I can very easily count on a big chunk of money every month because I know that 25% of our people renew the support year after year. And this leads us to another easy income stream within this income stream called the developer license. So Backup Creator is $7 for the Express version, or $47 for the Ultimate version, where there's automatic backups, Amazon S3, Dropbox, Google Drive, all kinds of cool stuff like that. But you can only use the plugin on sites you personally own. And you can't give away the plugin under any circumstances or anything like that. But if you want to log in to sites for clients, well, then you need to grab what's called a $100 one time. So this one doesn't have the yearly stuff, but a $100 developer license. Developer license means that you can't hand out the plugin, give it away, anything like that, but you can land a new client or something like that, and you can log into their site and back up their site, and even set it on automatic backups to Google Drive. You can clone their site if you want. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want with their site if you have that developer license. So another easy way of getting some money, just by looking at the way that plugin developers set things up. And then finally, we have a thing called lifetime access, where we actually looked at how long people stay in and how long people renew their backup creator support. And we came across, we decided on the figure of, I think it was $150, 147, something like that. But for about $150, they don't have to deal with that yearly renewal anymore. They just pay that, and then it's completely, if we keep the plugin going for 10, 20 years, hope maybe not that long, but as long as the plugin's around, they don't have to keep paying this yearly update. So lots of little income streams based on just having a piece of software that people use every week in their websites or their business, and charge them to continue maintaining it and making it better. Cool. Next, passive income business model number 6, webinar-based membership sites. Join Membership Cube for this one. We find a hot problem, right? And we mentioned a few of those. Making a sales letter. I sell a $500 course called Speed Copy about that. Webinars. Webinar Crusher. That's $297, I think. Make a product. Selling on Amazon. That's $197. We have Podcast Crusher. That's $97. So we basically found a problem, figured out our own system, our own formula for solving it, and then scheduled a live 4-week class, usually, so 4 sessions, where we would show them how to get from point A to point B, show somebody how to get their whole sales letter set up, show somebody how to get their whole podcast set up, and maybe in the first episode, how to get their first podcast, or the first week, the first training session, show them how to get their first podcast episode online. And then in the second week, we then show them how to book an interview, add music to their podcast episode, add graphics to it. Then in the third week, the third module, we can show people how to get listed on different directories, how to get traffic. In the fourth module, we can show people how to monetize their podcast. But the point is that there is something to getting paid a lot of money, getting paid $500 or $1,000 to show people some cool stuff. And it might just be using your own software, using your own tools and templates to get them to set something up that they never were able to set up before. So we have a 4 or 8 week live class, and people pay us money in advance. We say, here's what the course is going to be about. Here's the button to buy for access. And then in the coming weeks, we just meet on these live webinars and knock out what needs to get knocked out. And that's a great way of making some quick money. But then after the class is done, well, we recorded each of those sessions and we put them into a high ticket or a fixed term membership site. And that means that if we ran the live class for $1,000, well, then the recordings, we don't call them recordings, but now it's like a, all completed course. If we charge $1,000 for it to be live, well, now it's $1,000 for the recordings, as we could call them. And then we can add a payment plan. We can say, all right, well, it's $500 or it's $99.95 for 5 months. There you go. And if we can throw in some kind of software tied to the membership site, and this is, a job for your programmer, but if you sold a $500 or $1,000 course that included desktop software or website software, and if they refunded or canceled their subscription to the course, the software shut off, even better. If you can add in some kind of a checklist so they can easily digest the instructions or easily repeat the results, that make little things like that make it better. If you can throw in some kind of a pane of disconnect where if they stopped paying and they stopped being able to log in, not only would they lose access to the videos and the software, but they couldn't get to the templates, and maybe even something like if this fits in your business model or your upcoming project, some kind of a directory where they could get traffic or they could get some results by being listed in some kind of a directory. If they canceled or quit, they're kicked out of that as well. So a lot of cool, interesting possibilities there when we're talking about webinar membership sites. Plug and play passive income business model number 7 are websites for offline businesses. And I know a lot of internet marketers talk about these in pie in the sky terms. Oh, you can go to your local Italian restaurant and you could make them a web page and they'll pay you a bunch of money. Except for we actually do that. Now, do we have a ton of websites like this? Well, no. But what's great about not only, okay, first of all, offline businesses are used to paying a bunch of money for things. If you can find an offline business that's doing really, really well and not just struggling, so restaurants are usually struggling, but doctors, dentists, chiropractors, certain like specialists and people like that, they have no problem paying a few $1,000s every month if it gets them one $5,000 client. So those are the people that we target. And we have some of these websites and our pricing for that is $2,400 a month, every single month. And all we do is we set up the site once and we use our plugin called Backup Creator to do it. They provide us with the text and the information to fill out, but it's always the same template. We don't allow them to design stuff or add new pages. We say, here's what we're going to set up. It's going to have these bullet points and this picture or this video if you have one. It's going to have your phone number, address, hours of operation, a couple of articles, things like that. They give us that information. We set up the site, and then they're now paying a monthly fee to keep the site up and running. And I believe that we also provide a report showing their rankings in the search engines, showing like what keywords they rank for, how much they're going up and down. Because the other cool thing that we can show them, and another easy way to justify this, other than just that we're keeping the website going, is that they are rising in the rankings due to our submitting articles and running traffic and stuff like that. So it's easy to justify that, especially if they can see that they're number one in a search for their city plus chiropractor or their city plus dentist. So there's easy money there, and that's something where I wish we did more of that because it's so easy and it's so high ticket and it's fun for us. But that is a real passive income business model. That's number 7 that we use on a regular basis. And the big finale, plug and play passive income business models. Try saying that 8 times. I just did. Number 8 are Kindle Books. So we have a course at makeaproduct.com. And I make not a lot of money, but I make some little spending money every month from Amazon from what they call the royalties from my Kindle and my CreateSpace books. The Kindle books make a lot more money, but it's stupid to ignore these sites that have a lot of traffic. eBay, Craigslist, Fiverr, Amazon, YouTube, Google, Facebook, they all have tons and tons of traffic. So all you have to do in a lot of cases is just get yourself set up so that when someone searches Amazon for a keyword like, I don't know, like Italian recipes or something, and if you had 10 or 20 Italian recipe books online on Amazon, then that's easy money for you to go and collect. The one thing I want to warn you away from, though, is that, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people think that they can labor over one book over the course of the next year and they'll just make 10,000 bucks a month from one book. And so I do have books where I labored over them, and those are what I call business card books. Those are books where I want someone to find me and then from that book opt into my list or buy one of my courses. So I have a Kindle book about membership sites, and I don't, and them buying a $2 Kindle book is great, but I really want them to go and buy the $1,000 membership cube course. I have a book about podcasting, and by the way, the next time you're at a bookstore, next time you like, maybe even look at a book you have, books don't really give you a start to finish system. That's what more of like a paid product, a paid course is for. The book gives you a little bit of a plan, gives you a few possibilities, gives you the big picture, but it doesn't get as detailed as a high ticket course gets. But anyway, my point is that you might have to put out a lot of Kindle books. How many? Well, I don't know. It depends on what year you're listening to this podcast. But I mean, if you were to say that, if you put out a handful of Kindle books, you knew they were all making you $10 a month, well, then what would you do? Well, you'd go and make 1,000 Kindle books. I don't say that to discourage you, but I'm just saying that a lot of these guys that clean up on Kindle, and by the way, I only have 10 books on Amazon and they're all business card books. But if the guys that have hundreds, that have thousands of books on Kindle, they have a whole system down. They have a way of outsourcing the whole thing, and they'll drop, $50, a couple $100 to get a book made, and they'll just make one of those a day until they have hundreds or thousands of titles at their disposal. And there's always kinds of like new tips and techniques to make books faster, makes books cheaper, have books that make more money, links your books together, have multi-part series, do the free days, do all kinds of cool stuff. But I mean, a lot of people are having fun, and especially if you're a writer or you enjoy, editing stuff or just putting stuff out there with your name on it, or even building up a bunch of like a book empire with a fake name or whatever. There are people who do really well with, Kindle books of fiction or recipe books or just the weirdest freaking kinds of like coloring books or comic books or things like that with Amazon Kindle. So that's a possibility for you. It's not my biggest income producer, but it depends on what your strategy is, right? To sell a ton of books or to funnel those leads back into your business. Man, we discussed 8 different plug and play passive income models to build up that nest egg. We talked about Fiverr services. We talked about tiny little $7 reports, low ticket webinars, platinum coaching program, yearly software, webinar membership sites, $2,400 per month websites for offline businesses, and Kindle books. So maybe your brain's kind of fried now, but I think that I gave you at least one or two good ideas about things that you haven't thought of or thought were good ideas. Maybe it's time to now implement, or income streams that went to the wayside and you thought, well, a while ago I bought some resale rights I was going to get reworded and re-edited so I can put on Kindle. Maybe I should get on that now. Or maybe you said, I was thinking about selling my services on Fiverr, but one of your ideas kind of sparked me into action. And what I should do is join profitdashboard.com and list a Fiverr gig and just see if I can get some sales. And who cares just at the moment about what your hourly rate is, but see if you can get a few $100 from that. And then once you get a few $100, think about, well, how can I scale this 10 times or more? And once I do that, how can I then reduce the amount of time that it takes for me to earn that money? Now that would actually be getting somewhere. So a lot of different ideas and a lot of different resources from Profit Dashboard, Income Machine, Webinar Crusher, Make a Product, even Backup Creator. And I want you to choose one and go for it and create that new income stream or improve an income stream that maybe could be better in your own online business. I'm Robert Plank from ProfitDashboard.com. This has been episode 78, Plug and Play Passive Income Models to Build Up That Nest Egg. I have a couple quick favors to ask you. One is to go to robertplankshow.com/iTunes and subscribe, rate and review this show because that helps us in the rankings. And I mean, email me if you want at robert@robertplank.com and let me know you liked this episode. Let me know you like this podcast. Let me know you just listen. Let me know what your website address is so I can check it out and say, hey, I'm Robert Plank from The Robert Plank Show. Have a fantastic rest of your week.